We're told to believe a fairy tale, a story so perfectly crafted it feels ripped from a Hollywood script. The story goes like this. Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, decided to ditch the private jets and fly commercial. Not only that, but she was an absolute angel, blending in with regular travelers, complimenting the flight attendants' nails, and even handing out a heartfelt handwritten note to the crew. It was a picture of humility, a moment designed to show she's just one of us. But this fairy tale has a dark twist. The entire story, pushed by major media outlets, began to unravel almost immediately. The star witness suddenly changed her testimony, the photographic evidence was proven to be a fraud, and the whole event was exposed as a phantom flight that likely never happened. This wasn't just a simple feel-good story, it was a calculated performance, and when the curtain was pulled back, what was revealed was far more shocking than anyone imagined. The initial report, first splashed across page 6, was a masterclass in public relations. It painted a vivid picture of Meghan Markle, the humble Duchess, navigating the world like any normal person. The details were almost poetic. She was described as gracious and down-to-earth, a stark contrast to the image of a demanding celebrity often portrayed in the media. The centerpiece of this narrative was a handwritten note, a personal touch of gratitude that seemed to charm the entire flight crew. This wasn't just a trip, it was a statement. It was meant to show a woman unburdened by the formalities of royalty, connecting with people on a human level. The language used in the report was suspiciously dreamy, focusing on her kindness and approachability. But the story was a little too perfect, a little too clean. It felt less like journalism and more like a press release, carefully constructed to project a specific image right when she needed it most. It was designed to go viral, and it did, but for all the wrong reasons, because as people looked closer, they started to realize the perfect story had more holes than Swiss cheese. The entire narrative hinged on one key person, the flight attendant who shared her magical Meghan moment with the world. In a video that quickly made the rounds, she was seen gushing about the experience. She fumbled with Meghan's title, calling her a princess before correcting herself to Duchess, which only made the encounter seem more authentic and unrehearsed. She praised Meghan's kindness and even commented on her manicure. This flight attendant was the sole source, the only proof that this event ever took place. Without her, there was no story, and that's where everything begins to fall apart. Shortly after the story exploded, the flight attendant did a complete 180. In a quiet confession to a French media outlet, she admitted the unthinkable. She never actually saw Meghan Markle on the flight. Let that sink in. The one and only witness, the foundation of this entire PR push, walked back her entire statement. The story was a house of cards, and the person who built it just pulled out the bottom card. This raises a terrifying question. Why would she do it? Airline employees are bound by ironclad policies protecting passenger privacy. Publicly discussing a passenger, especially a high-profile one, is grounds for immediate termination. So, was she a willing participant in a coordinated stunt? Was she put up to it? Perhaps handed the note and a script by someone from Meghan's team? The speculation ran wild. The attendant, who now reportedly regrets ever speaking up, has faded into silence, likely realizing she was a pawn in a much larger game. The dream encounter had turned into a professional nightmare, and it exposed the desperate lengths someone was willing to go to for a little good press. In the 21st century, it's said that if there are no pictures, it didn't happen. For Meghan Markle, a woman followed by cameras and public interest at every turn, this has never been more true. So, where was the evidence? On a commercial flight packed with hundreds of passengers, each holding a high-definition camera in their pocket, not a single photo emerged. There were no blurry shots of her boarding the plane, no sneaky selfies from a passenger in the background, no fan videos from the airport. Nothing. The digital footprint of this supposed trip was non-existent. There was a complete and total radio silence from every angle, which is deeply suspicious for someone of her fame. This invisibility is especially strange when you consider her past. This is the same woman who, during a visit to a remote dog rescue, had paparazzi coincidentally show up to capture her compassionate moment. It's the same woman who was involved in what her team described as a near-catastrophic paparazzi car chase in New York, an event that later came under scrutiny when it was suggested her team may have tipped off the photographers themselves. Her public life has a long and well-documented pattern of staged moments presented as spontaneous events. She doesn't just go somewhere, she arrives, often with a camera waiting. For her to suddenly become a ghost on a packed commercial flight doesn't just seem unlikely, it seems impossible. The silence wasn't a sign of her flying under the radar, it was a sign that she was never on the radar to begin with. If the lack of photos was suspicious, the one photo they did use was downright fraudulent. To sell the story of Meghan's recent humble flight, Page Six made a critical error. Instead of a current photo, they used an image of Meghan getting off a plane from 2016. The picture was nearly a decade old, taken at a completely different airport, during a totally different chapter of her life, long before she was a duchess. Yet, it was presented without any disclaimer, no caption mentioning the date, as if it were proof of the recent event. It was a blatant act of deception, and the internet noticed almost immediately. Online sleuths and royal watchers quickly identified the photo, tracing it back to its original source. The backlash was intense. Readers accused the outlet of deliberately gaslighting the public, of using old imagery to prop up a fake narrative. This wasn't just lazy journalism, it was a conscious choice to mislead. The move completely destroyed what little credibility the story had left. It proved that the publishers couldn't find a single real image to support their claims, so they resorted to recycling one from the archives. It was the final nail in the coffin. The phantom flight had now been exposed not just by a lack of evidence, but by the presence of fake evidence. The story wasn't just unlikely anymore, it was a confirmed lie, and the photographic proof of the deception was there for everyone to see. At the heart of this fabricated event was a very specific detail: the handwritten thank you note. While it might seem like a minor element, it's actually a crucial piece of the puzzle. This gesture wasn't random, it was a direct echo of Princess Diana. Prince Harry's mother was famous for sending personal, elegantly written notes to everyone from world leaders to ordinary citizens. It was her signature move, a symbol of her warmth and personal touch that the public adored. Now here was Meghan, years later, attempting to use the exact same play from the same playbook. It's a pattern that has become impossible to ignore. From her wardrobe choices that mirror some of Diana's most iconic outfits, to photo ops that seem to be frame-for-frame recreations of Diana's, Meghan has been accused of channeling the ghost of her late mother-in-law for years. Critics argue that these are not mere coincidences or heartfelt tributes. Instead, they see it as a calculated and slightly morbid strategy to align herself with the beloved people's princess. By mimicking Diana's gestures, she seems to be trying to inherit the same public affection and sympathy that Diana commanded. This Diana playbook is a way to position herself as a victim of the same forces and as a carrier of the same compassionate flame. But with each new imitation, the gesture feels less like an homage and more like a performance. The handwritten note on the Phantom flight wasn't just a thank you, it was the latest act in a long-running show. So why go to all this trouble? Why construct such a flimsy, easily debunked lie? The answer, as is often the case, seems to be about timing. This bizarre PR push didn't happen in a vacuum. It surfaced at a time when Meghan's professional life was facing significant headwinds. Her highly anticipated Spotify podcast, Archetypes, fizzled out after just one season, with the platform reportedly declining to renew her multi-million-dollar deal. Her projects with Netflix have been met with mixed reviews and have failed to generate the kind of cultural buzz they had hoped for. Beyond her media ventures, public opinion, particularly in the UK and parts of the US, has grown increasingly chilly. The Sussex brand, once a global phenomenon, was losing its shine. Viewed through this lens, the humble commercial flight story starts to make a twisted kind of sense. It was a desperate Hail Mary, an attempt at image rehabilitation. When the narrative of being a global powerhouse and media mogul isn't working, you pivot. You become the humble, down-to-earth duchess who is just like everyone else. It was a strategic move designed to counter the claims of her being out of touch and to generate some much-needed positive press. The execution was sloppy, and the lie was obvious, but the motive was crystal clear. It was a frantic effort to change the conversation and repaint a public image that was rapidly fading. The only problem was, nobody bought the new picture. This single, fabricated story does more than just expose a lie. It shines a light on the growing cracks in the entire Sussex narrative. The incident serves as a magnifying glass for other inconsistencies and rumors that have been swirling around the couple for months. The article from Page 6, while building Meghan up, subtly isolated her. Where was Harry? The story was all about her solo trip with no mention of him at all. This feeds directly into the persistent rumors that their united front is beginning to crumble. Whispers from Montecito suggest a growing distance between them, with some sources claiming Harry has been spending significant time living separately. This solo flight narrative, whether real or fake, conveniently plays into the image of an independent Meghan thriving on her own. Then there are the children. In a now infamous interview with Drew Barrymore, Meghan made a bizarre and awkward comment about how she reads bedtime stories to her children over email when she travels. Email. It was a strange, unscripted moment that left many viewers puzzled. Who reads to their children via email? The comment, combined with Barrymore's clumsy follow-up about whoever's with them, raised serious questions about the family's dynamic. If she's traveling and Harry is reportedly elsewhere, who is actually raising the kids? These small but telling moments, combined with the phantom flight, paint a picture of a life that is heavily micromanaged for optics. The over-the-top displays of wholesomeness and the carefully staged media appearances are starting to feel less like an authentic life and more like a tightly controlled brand that is fraying at the edges. Ultimately, this story is a modern-day fable of the boy who cried wolf. The tale of the phantom flight, the vanishing witness, and the fraudulent photo is more than just another celebrity PR blunder. It represents a fundamental breakdown of trust between a public figure and the audience they so desperately want to captivate. When every action feels scripted, every word feels calculated, and every candid moment feels staged, you begin to lose the one thing you can't buy: credibility. The Sussex brand has been built on a narrative of authenticity and speaking their truth. But when their truth is so easily exposed as a fabrication, the entire foundation crumbles. And they have pushed a story so unbelievable that it has made people question everything else. The constant need for control, the obsessive image management, and the willingness to deploy easily disproven lies have backfired in spectacular fashion. It's no longer just critics who are skeptical, it's everyone. No amount of handwritten notes or recycled photos can fix a reputation for being untrustworthy. The real question that remains is not whether Meghan Markle was on that flight. The real question is, after so many performances, what happens when the public simply stops believing the story altogether?